Welcome back to our SketchUp for Schools tutorial series. In this project, we're still working on our Saltbox house, and we're still working on the materials. I wanted to come back and touch base on a few different materials options that are available to you in order to make your materials look a lot better. Particularly, I wanted to look at wood materials. So over here, if we click on materials, scroll down to the bottom, you can see we have a wood tab, and we have several different materials here. So we have this wood plywood, we have a wood veneer, and this is what we're actually going to use. We do have some other wood veneers there, so that's a wood cherry. We have some floorboards, that's OSB. So we got cork, so a few different, this one's bamboo, so you got a few different wood textures that are pre-built into our SketchUp. We're going to click on this one, this wood veneer. If we go to the front of our house, the first thing that you need to always keep in mind and remember is that you have to go inside the group, inside the component, in order to paint our textures. Now, if we do something simple that only has the one group or one component, it will paint it, okay? However, if I do this and I right click, there's no option to actually modify the texture. So if I go back out, you can actually see, because this component right here has multiple groups and stuff like that in it, it won't actually paint it. So some groups will let you paint and it covers the entire thing, some won't. However, here even if it did, we don't want it to, because we have to make sure that we have access to this texture options. So go into your group, or into the component, edit group, go in here, paint the texture on here, and then we want to right click and go to texture, and then go position. If these don't show up and they look like this, you can hold down your shift and it will bring those up. For some reason that happened to me earlier, and so it's the shift button that will bring those up if it's reversed, and that's just toggling the fixed. The main one we want is we need to scale this down, because you can see that it's just, the texture is way too big for that that board. So we want to click and drag this in to where it looks kind of like we want. You just kind of need to eyeball it to get it kind of looking like you want it to. Hit enter. Next, we want to click on the eyedropper tool. Click on that new texture that we put in, and now we can go in here and paint the rest of this. For here, I'm going to go ahead and click on this, and so you see that it's going the wrong way. So I want to right click, go down to texture, position. I'm going to right click on it, go down to rotate, and I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. You can do it manually by this one right here, but it's also easier just to right click and have it automatically move 90 degrees for you. The scale should be the same. That's the same scale as done here. Click enter. We can go ahead and paint that one, and we can go ahead and paint the sides. It's not a huge deal for those. Right click, close component. I do want to paint this right here, so this one's going to be a little bit more tricky. So right click, edit component. I'm going to go ahead and paint that, right click, go to texture, position. Again, if you have those icons showing up, hold down on the shift key and that will bring those back. So here we need to bring the protractor up and we're just going to kind of rotate this around to where it's going to look like we want it to. So that looks roughly correct. I'm going to hold down Control in order to avoid the snapping, in order to line up the line. So hold down Control. We'll keep it from snapping onto the fixed points. So that way we can line up that line to get it completely accurate. Hit Enter. We need to click on this side, right click, texture, position. Rotate this around. And there we go. So now we can come in here. This one we need to get our eyedropper back in order to paint that. Right click, close component. And that covers that. Here, I do want to get that fixed right here. So that covers two different groups because this is a group and this is a group. So I'm just going to go in here, kind of zoom in. Click on my endpoints. Here, draw that out. Push pull that out, type in 0.25 just so that it doesn't shimmer and that it has a solid piece. Remember that if you have one group that's on another group, it will shimmer and everything, and it just doesn't really look good. So I need to reverse that face. So you reverse face, there we go. I'm going to triple click on that, turn it into a component. You can paint this however you want to. I'm actually going to go down to just the colors. I'm going to kind of bring up a charcoal kind of color, and that's kind of what I'm going to do with everything. So I'm going to paint that there. Right click, edit component. And that's kind of what I'm going to paint everything else. Just make sure that you're editing the group and component. It's a really good habit to get into. Remember, use your keyboard shortcuts. They will really help you out and speed up the process, especially the mouse. Okay, that middle scroll wheel brings up the orbit. Having your other hand over the shift key in order to bring up the pan. Okay, get used to that. Work on it, and it really speeds up your overall process. Here, I wanted to get rid of that segment, so I need to make sure that I'm inside that wall. I'm just going to go and drag and draw a line along from this point down to this point. And I'm going to paint those that color. You can pick a different color. The colors doesn't really matter. But that is going to be. But that's how you go in there and you modify textures. The biggest thing is that it is inside the group or component, else you don't have those options. At this point, we can close that out. This is our finished part of our Saltbox house. There are a lot of things that we could go in here and do, and we may come back and revisit this project again. But come in here, make sure you save it. Make sure that you take several different exported pictures. So make sure you take one from the front, especially coming here and showcasing your textures. So this picture would be really good to take. I also want an overview. Go in here and take some side shots as well. Okay, so you really do need to make sure that you take a good 3 or 4 images, upload those to our Google Slides. But that concludes this tutorial. Thank you for watching.